the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and later endorsed by United Nations General Assembly, headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. It is comprised of 195 member states. The IPCC provides objective and comprehensive scientific information on anthropogenic climate change, including the natural, political, and economic impacts and risks, and possible response options. It does not conduct original research nor monitor climate change, but rather undertakes a periodic, systematic review of all relevant published literature. Thousands of scientists and other experts volunteer to review the data and compile key findings into assessment reports for policymakers and the general public. This has been described as the biggest peer review process in the scientific community. The IPCC is an internationally accepted authority on climate change, and its work is widely agreed upon by leading climate scientists as well as governments. Its reports play a key role in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, with the fifth assessment report heavily informing the landmark Paris Agreement in 2015. The IPCC shared the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize with Al Gore for contributions to the human understanding of climate change. The IPCC is governed by its member states, which elect a Bureau of Scientists to serve for the duration of an assessment cycle. The Bureau selects experts nominated by governments and observer organizations to prepare IPCC reports. The IPCC is supported by a secretariat and various technical support units from specialized working groups and task forces. Following the election of its new bureau in 2015, the IPCC began its sixth assessment cycle, to be completed in 2022. In August 2021, the Physical Science Working Group of the IPCC published its contribution, the Sixth Assessment Report, which The Guardian described as the starkest warning yet of major inevitable and irreversible climate changes, a theme echoed by many newspapers around the world. During this period, the IPCC has released several special reports, including the Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, the Special Report on Climate Change and Land, and the Special Report on the Ocean and Cryosphere in a Changing Climate. Consequently, the sixth assessment cycle has been described as the most ambitious in the IPCC's history. The IPCC developed from an international scientific body, the Advisory Group on Greenhouse Gases, set up in 1985 by the International Council of Scientific Unions, the United Nations Environment Programme, and the World Meteorological Organization to provide recommendations based on current research. This small group of scientists lacked the resources to cover the increasingly complex, interdisciplinary nature of climate science. The United States government sought an international convention for restrictions on greenhouse gases, and under the conservative Reagan administration expressed concern about unrestrained influence from independent scientists or from United Nations bodies such as the UNEP and WMO. The U.S. government was the main force in shaping the IPCC as an autonomous intergovernmental body, in which scientists took part both as experts and as official representatives of their governments, which would produce reports backed by all leading relevant scientists, and which then had to gain consensus agreement from every participating government. In this way, the IPCC was formed as a hybrid between a scientific body and an intergovernmental political organization. The United Nations formally endorsed the creation of the IPCC in 1988, citing the fact that certain human activities could change global climate patterns, threatening present and future generations with potentially severe economic and social consequences, and that continued growth in atmospheric concentrations of greenhouse gases could produce global warming with an eventual rise in sea levels, the effects of which could be disastrous for mankind if timely steps are not taken at all levels. To that end, the IPCC was tasked with reviewing peer-reviewed scientific literature and other relevant publications to provide information on the state of knowledge about climate change and its consequences and impacts. The IPCC does not conduct original research, but produces comprehensive assessments, reports on special topics, and methodologies based on Its assessments build on previous reports, highlighting the trajectory towards the latest knowledge. For example, the wording of the reports from the first to the fifth assessment reflects the growing evidence for a changing climate caused by human activity. The IPCC has adopted and published principles governing IPCC work, which states that the IPCC will assess pursuant to its governing principles. The IPCC conducts its assessments on a comprehensive, objective, open and transparent basis that encompasses all scientific, technical and socio-economic information relevant to under